Everything that exists was made by God. God created out of nothing and brought into existence all that we see. Everything our senses detect is part of God's creation. But what about the things our senses can't detect? Our perception is, after all, limited by our bodies. We can see, hear, taste, feel, and smell. But beyond that, we are unable to perceive things. Even some animals are able to perceive things that humans can't. Sea turtles can sense magnetic fields. Sharks can sense electric fields. Jewel beetles can sense infrared radiation, which allows them to detect forest fires up to 50 miles away. Mantis shrimp can see colors we can't see. There exist things that human beings can't perceive because of the limitations of our senses. This is just part of being enfleshed people. So not only did God make everything our senses can detect, but God also made everything our senses can't detect. At every Sunday Mass, in the Nicene Creed, we say, God is the creator of the heavens and the earth, of all things visible and invisible. A creed is basically a summary of beliefs. So when we say the Nicene Creed or the shorter Apostles' Creed, we are essentially giving a summary of what we believe as Catholics. But if God made things that are invisible to us, what might some of those invisible things be? We know from Scripture that God also created what we call angels. The word angel actually means messenger. So angels are actually messengers sent from God. They are purely spiritual beings, which means they don't have physical bodies. But if they don't have physical bodies, and our senses don't have any way of detecting them, then how could they be effective messengers to us from God? Since our bodies aren't equipped to detect spiritual entities, God allows the angels to present themselves to people in a way our senses can detect. Even though the angels don't have bodies, when they have a message for human beings, they present themselves in a way that we can see and hear. We are surrounded by physical realities that we can sense and touch, see, hear, but we are also surrounded by spiritual realities that we can't sense or see or hear or touch. Like human beings, angels were created with free will, and because they have free will, they had the ability to choose whether or not they would follow God's plan. And some of the angels chose to rebel against God. These rebel angels are what we call demons. But why would any angel rebel against God? Some theologians have speculated that the reason some angels rebelled was because they rejected God's plan to take on human flesh in the person of Jesus Christ. Because that act elevated the human nature above the angels. And because of that, the demons want to prevent us from entering heaven, because they know a human being who has entered heaven will be higher than the angels. Maybe all of this seems a bit strange to you. I mean, we've been talking about concrete things like science, and now we're talking about spiritual entities that are all around us. In my opinion, it would be foolish for us to think that the only things that exist are the things that our senses can detect. Our bodies are capable of a lot, but we shouldn't assume they are capable of everything. Lastly, I want to address a common misconception about angels. Some people think that when we die, we become angels, but that's not the case. We can't become angels any more than we can become a horse or a dog or an otter. That's because angels are an entirely different species from us. When we die, if we are in a loving relationship with God, we become saints, which means we become holy. We are still human beings, but we are perfected human beings. We are human beings as God always intended for us to be. Now please read the material below and answer the reflection questions. Have a great week.